I got your Survivor 41 finale reaction coming your way in just a few seconds. Spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it. I'm going to be starting talking about spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Erica is your winner of season 41. This is a interesting season because there's a big controversy on whether people think that Erica deserved to win or not. Who was the most deserving player? Was it Erica? Was it Xander? A lot of love for Xander. We're going to get into that right now. I'm going to talk about Survivor as a whole. Survivor 41 as a whole. As best Danny described it, you have the pre-merge, the post-merge, and then the final 8. Pre-merge was all based on the green and yellow tribes, the Ua and the Yasa tribe. We didn't see anything of the blue tribe because they kept winning and there wasn't much to tell. And when you're on reality TV like Survivor and they don't show you at all, it's like you just wasted your time out there. Yeah, you have the experience, but people want to see you. You're cast on the show, so they have to dedicate some time to those players that were getting voted out. Hence, why I think we didn't see a lot of Erica, even though she ended up being the eventual winner. But if you go back and you break down all the clips that they did show of Erica, they strategically had a storyline with an arc and explained everything about why Erica was the deserving winner, what her storyline was. She was the lion in sheep's clothing. That was the clear arc. She was underestimated by everyone. She's this tiny little woman that no one takes seriously. She has this tight twosome with Heather the entire game that people they just write off because they're not threats. Meanwhile, they were the bigger power duo than Ricard and Shan were, and they made Final 4 where Ricard and Shan took 5th and 8th place. So it's like Ricard is boasting about being this great Survivor player, one of the best of all time. Yes, he played a very outspoken, aggressive Survivor game. Does that necessarily make you a great player? Sure, he was responsible for a lot of blindsides, but the name of the game is winning and surviving, baby. And Ricard, he fell short. Had he won that final 5 immunity challenge, had Erica not received that advantage. Now, here's the thing. Did people like there being an advantage at final 5 right before immunity? Obviously, they all had a puzzle, and the first person to solve the puzzle and find the advantage gets an advantage in the challenge. But we don't see what's going on behind scenes. The producers, they could have planted something right in front of Erica as she was walking by. It's tough to say. Was that advantage the extra bit that Erica needed to beat Ricard in that challenge? It was close. They were both at the puzzle. It was anyone's game. I think you got to give Erica credit because, hey, she found the advantage. She did the puzzle. I mean, that's a tough puzzle to do, 75 pieces. And Ricard, he just fell short. That's what it came down to. There was no chance in saving himself. The rest of the tribe had made up their decisions. Even though Xander, he was thinking about doing some flashy moves with the idol, but they were smart to get Ricard out because he was the flashiest player. Doesn't necessarily mean he was the best, but he was the flashiest of the remaining players. And then we get to the final 4, where it's between Deshawn, Heather, Erica, and Xander. And I know a lot of people, once Ricard got voted out, they were like, none of these people deserve to win. They floated along all season. They stink, type of thing. Well, they just played different games. That's all that means. Erica and Heather, they were under the radar. And that was intentional. There's nothing wrong with that. They had a strategy and they executed the strategy. And hey, it got them that far and Erica won. So how are you saying that Erica's not a deserving winner when she won 2 individual immunity challenges? She was on the right side of every vote. Like that is so hard to do when you're in the know of the vote every single time. That means you have complete in utter control and dominance of the game. There's no blindsides at that point. You know exactly what's going on. And that's what happened to Erica. She was on the right side of every vote because she was able to position herself with everyone, so that she could be flexible. She could move. She was water. She's flowing with the water. She's going from alliance to alliance. She created that minority alliance after the Shan vote with Ricard, with Xander, with Heather, so that they had control at the final 8, that final push, that third stage of the game in Danny's words. So when compared to Deshawn, who Shan, man, she was still bitter towards Deshawn, calling him out in tribal like that, man, like, that was rough to watch because Deshawn broke down a few tribals ago explaining that he voted out Shan and he felt gutted by it and it wasn't any personal attack, and he broke down crying. And to further have to explain himself, to have that shoved into his face again and again and again, like, what else can he do? What's done is done. If you're going to take it personal, okay, but stop bringing it up. Like, I thought that was a little harsh by Shan. Danny sent Deshawn his single vote. Everyone else voted for Erica to win, and Erica obviously won. And Xander ended up in third place after having control of the game. He won the final immunity, and he had a choice to either bring Erica, Heather, or Deshawn to sit with him at the final 3. And he chose Erica. And that, to be honest though, I don't think there was a scenario in which Xander could have won. I think if I was him, he should have picked Heather. Because I don't think the jury would credit a fire-making win that much brownie points, deservedness, if that's a word, towards winning. I don't think that would have put him over the edge. And that was part of Xander's rationale as to why he picked Erica, so that she didn't have a flashy move. I think even if Xander threw himself into the fire making and won, it still wouldn't have mattered. I don't think winning fire making is really all that impressive or deserving to get extra sympathy points or survivor jury vote points. But I have to admit, as much as I'm on the fence about having that as part of the game, that was an exciting fire-making challenge to watch because Deshawn, he had the early lead, and then Heather out of nowhere has this gushing wildfire, and then Deshawn comes back and he wins 3 seconds ahead of Heather. So I would have liked to see Heather into the final 3, but kudos to Deshawn winning. I think it was a very unique final 3. All 3 of them had completely different paths. And I mean, I had a feeling that Erica was going to win. I just had a feeling that she was just most deserving based on the jury members that were voting that she was going to win. But it really was anyone's game. They all had some interesting arguments to make. And I like to see the diversiveness in that final 3 of Survivor 41. So if I had to rank this season overall, I'd say it's a good season. Very, very good cast of characters. They did a great job getting interesting, unique, perspective people. I think you could invite pretty much anyone on this cast for a second time around and people would be happy because it was just a great cast all around. I think as far as the challenges, man, they got to stop recycling the same old challenges from years past. Like, some of them are okay, but it's like every single challenge is the same puzzle. It's the same balance thing that we've seen in years past. And it's like, I want to see something new. I want to see like something that's going to, whoa, how are they going to tackle this type of thing rather than Evie solving a puzzle that they've done in seasons past and memorized how to do it. That's kind of lame. It defeats the challenge. Like, these are supposed to be challenges. It's supposed to be hard and difficult and challenge the contestants. And I just don't think, obviously they are challenges. You have to compete and solve them, but I want to see something new. I know the creative team can do a little bit more in setting up new challenges. I would love to see them go back to different locations other than Fiji. I loved seeing different locations and environments and cultures in past Survivor seasons, but since they signed that contract with Fiji, they're never going to do that, and that's kind of a bummer. The twists and advantages were just pretty much, for the most part, all pretty bad. I think there's some interesting concepts there. I liked the prisoner dilemma, potentially, but I just didn't like how the players this time reacted to that information, so maybe it's better another time around. Maybe they just have to tweak it a little bit. The shot in the dark didn't seem impactful at all. The hourglass twist is so stupid. I hope they get rid of it, even though they won't. And as far as the final 5 advantage, why? Is it necessary? What's the point? It just makes it suspicious as to when the player who ends up winning finds that advantage and then wins a challenge by a few seconds just because they found that advantage. I'm not discrediting Erica, but it's like, why can't you just let them play? Like, I'm sure there was a reason why it was put in that tree at that moment. That's all hearsay, though. That is all hearsay. Overall, I'm glad that the players were able to navigate around the dumb twists in this season. And on the preview for season 42, we got a glimpse that most of them are going to be returning. They may have tweaked a little bit, but I have a feeling that they want to see how they want to serve a sample size big enough to make their own decisions on whether they're going to keep a challenge or a twist or whatnot. So unfortunately, it seems like we're going to be seeing the 3-way idol, the hourglass. I don't know if they're going to bring the hourglass. Probably the shot in the dark, and all these crazy twists back in season 42. I'm excited to see the cast videos start to come out. It's coming out in March, so a few months away. So I like this season overall. I think it could have got derailed very early on, and I was losing some hope, but I was happy with the outcome, and there was a lot of moments where I was on the edge of my seat. So I think it's definitely worth a rewatch if you're into that type of thing. So that's Survivor season 41. Who was your favorite contestant, and what was your favorite part of the season? I'd love to know. Drop it in the comment section below. I'll see you next time. All right. Woo.